Hi, this is another video continuing on from video 8 where we have already compiled a controller program ready for downloading into our target controller. We're using PS4000. We have a DDC420 controller ready programmed, and we have a physical connection via Ethernet to our DDC420 controller. In previous videos I've shown you how to connect up to the controller. I've shown you how to configure the controller when it's first powered up to give it its language, its IP address, etc. I've also shown you how to configure your laptop to be on a compatible IP address range, and I've also shown you with PS4000 how to address the controller, which is going to be the target device. So assuming you've followed all those videos and assuming that I've made everything correctly myself, we should be in a good place to compile a program and download it into the controller and start commissioning it. Okay, now then, good practice says that before we make a download, before we make any further changes, it's probably time we did a proper backup of the system so that we're in a good place should we have an issue somewhere along the line, or we want to roll back to where we know we're in a good healthy position. Okay, so to do that on PS4000, we quickly click on the save button. There are automated saves throughout the engineering of the system. You've probably noticed those during previous videos or as you're conducting the scheme yourself. In addition to this saves the ongoing works into a database. What we can do is we can compile all of that information of all the databases, all the live data, all the controller files, everything we've done into a common project file, and that is called a PS5 file. And that is what we can use to exchange the projects between each other if we want to work on the same project at the same time. Now to do that, we click on exchange and we click on backup. We click say yes, and now it will prompt me to have a PS5 file, as you see PS5, with the same project title number. We can give it a name if we want, but I like to keep the project numbers the same, and I will continue to update the existing file as I'm working with my project. So now what we're doing is we're creating a complete program file, which I've now got safe. If something happened to my laptop, I can save this onto a cloud server, and I can open this up or email it to somebody to help me continue with the project engineering. Okay, so now I've got that, I'm in a good place to go. We can now right click on the DDC420 and continue, and I click on project planning file. This is where we have the option to retrieve information from an existing controller. So let's assume we're doing a service visit and we want to get the current data out of the product. We can do that. If I've literally have been emailed a controller file which someone's taken from a web browser connection, I can read that into my PS4000 folder, and that would be the top option. I can send a file that I've previously created directly to the controller, but in this case I'm going to create a new folder, a new file, and I click on, and I can give it a file name. I like to use version numbers. The software will automatically put a date next to it, and now I'm going to create and compile that new folder file. Okay, PS4000 knows it's newly created and says, do I want to send it down to the controller? Okay, now I'm going to select yes, but PS4000 does take a little bit of time to download the file into the controller. I'm going to show you a quicker way. Whilst that's ongoing, I'm going to go behind the scenes. I'm going to look on my Explorer, and I'm going to choose the C drive. I'm going to choose PS4000. I'm going to choose the project folder, and I'm going to open up the folder number from my project. Now there are multiple folders in here. This is where we find all the documentation, which I've shown you on a previous video for compiling all the terminal numbers. We also have a DDC4000 folder where we keep a PML file, which are all of our controller files, and here you can see version 1, which is the compiled file which is downloading right this minute into our controller. Now this is quite important, that you understand that this file is a BACnet file. PS4000 is a BACnet engineering tool, and it uses BACnet to download this file into the BACnet controller, which is what a DDC420 is. Now, we can explore the contents of this file if we right click on it, and we can open it with 7-zip. And inside here we've got two files. It's not overly complicated, and I can extract those and I can have those available to me inside the same folder. Now, param backup file D4PML is the web browser upload file that we can use. I can take this file, I can email it to a colleague who does not have access to PS4000, and using a standard web browser we can access the DDC420 device and we can upload that file directly into the controller, and it's the same as doing the BACnet download, only a lot less involved. So you have the choice always to use either the PS4000 download or the far simpler web upload procedure. It doesn't matter. Likewise, if we have a web connection and a colleague has made a backup of the existing existing software in the device using a web browser, they will receive from the controller a param backup D4PML file. Your colleague can email it to you, and in the reverse of the operation we've just done, we can then read that back into PS4000, and that way we get all the current set points, all the current time schedules, or any log data that we want to store. Okay. I'm just going to quickly click on the PS4000 folder. Now we're in a good position. The transfer is almost complete, and once I get the completion message, I can then make a web browser connection to the controller, and I can start to see the software live in operation. So let's just give it a couple more minutes to make its mind up. I can hear the controller's already active, and now it's done. Now I can connect with Firefox. I can refresh this view and select overview, and now I can log in. Well, I'll log in at level 3. I'll choose login, choose level 3. Those of you that know the passwords will be fine with this. And DDC420, I'm communicating with my demo unit, and it does have some field bus modules on there, although my software doesn't. The controller's already found them, but please ignore those for now for the purpose of this video. We only need to operate in the DDC420 area, and here's our live program. And when this is live in our application, we can utilize the software that we've written. If you recall back to the PS4000 file, that each of the folders has what we call a template connection area, and the template connection areas have all the important information that we want around the inputs and outputs to the software. So when the controller is live, we can utilize the same connections to get a very quick overview of what's going on. So for example, if we click on the infants heating in this particular case and look at template connect, I can see the current temperatures, I can see the current demand set point being sent to the boiler system, I can see if the valve is being controlled. Now, subject to the 0 to 10 volt valve being connected onto that connection, the valve will now be 100% open. I can now scroll down, I can see if there are any overrides. So if there's an override button which is being pressed, if it's in night mode or summer mode or whatever, I can see if they've been correctly connected. Or you can now take the opportunity on the control cabinet to press your override buttons and see the necessary consequence on the software. I can also see if the pumps have been requested and if there are any alarms active. So very quick overview of where you currently sit with the software. Okay, so I can now click on the address menu at the top, and I can choose maybe another section. Let's have a look at the hot water service, for example, and look at template connect. I can look at the inputs and outputs, and I can see that the hot water flow temperature is 18.9, and I currently have an active demand on the boilers of 82 degrees. Okay, so by working through the template connects, you can quickly get a quick look at the status of your plant. You can also click on the pins menu over here and see all the pins live and see the current status of the equipment. So I'm quite happy my VT valve is correctly configured, because my output is trying to drive that valve to 100% and meet the demand. I currently do not have a reading on my flow temperature sensor, which was why my boilers will not be running, and that's because my demo unit doesn't have a potentiometer connection on pin number 4. It's used for displaying an analog output for other purposes. Okay, so I'm happy with that. In your live application, you can have a quick overview of your inputs and outputs, and if you want to get a hold of this project file, you can download it off the support forum in Keyback and Peter training folder, and there will be a PS5 file of this system waiting for you to have a play with. Any questions or feedback on the video, greatly appreciated. Please log on and use the support forum as much as you can. Thanks very much.